The Houston Rockets are in desperate need of a center, and Jae'sean Holmes would be a really good signing for this team and probably is one of the best centers in this free agency class. Now, I will say that he is a restricted free agent, but the Kings may or may not decide to bring him back if they don't really do any moves this offseason. It just really depends on what their roster is looking like, but obviously it's the Rockets video, and today we're talking about why Jae'sean Holmes would be a really good signing for the Houston Rockets and what he started could provide to them moving forward. So what's up, my name is Jae'sean. If you guys see the video, drop in the little press subscribe button. Let's get to the video. So I decided to do a video on Jae'sean Holmes because for the most part, I mean, draft videos are kind of one and done right now. Obviously, like, there's nothing really to talk about other than, Jalen Green and Evan Mobley, but even that I mean, it's pretty repetitive in itself. I mean, talking about Jalen Green going to the Rockets, Evan Mobley going to the Rockets, I mean, it's pretty repetitive overall. It is getting views, but I just feel like I just keep repeating myself. That's what I feel like. So for the most part, I'm just trying to transition into free agency signings, obviously trades, maybe. I don't know like what would really be like hypotheticals, I guess, but we're gonna start this one out with our free agency signing, and it'd be Jae'sean Holmes. So Jae'sean Holmes, he is 27 years old, 6'10", 235 pounds. He would play the center for us beside Christian Wood. I don't really know how that would work, Christian Wood and Jae'sean Holmes, because Jae'sean Holmes can't really stretch the floor, but he is someone that can have a really good floater game. His floater is probably one of the best in the game, I want to say. That right hook, man, the right hand overall, like he has a really good touch around the rim, good floater. So Jae'sean Holmes, he just can't stretch the floor. I mean, over the season, he didn't shoot any threes overall. His season stats are pretty good too. I mean, 14 points per game, 8 rebounds and 2 assists. Pretty good overall for Jae'sean Holmes. He's just 27 years old. So yeah, I mean, Jae'sean Holmes, I think he'd be a really good piece on this roster. Gives us some rim protection that we need. Also, if we don't get Evan Mobley, then Jae'sean Holmes would be a really good substitution. Over the season, he did average a block a game, which is actually really good. I mean, 2 blocks a game, which is good, and a steal a game. So his interior defense is going to be really helpful for us, and his interior presence is going to be really good. I mean, also, he's a really good pick and roll defender. I mean, I see some games where he versus the Rockets where he just defend the pick and roll so well. So just having that pick and roll defensive ability is going to be really helpful for the Rockets, because Christian Wood is the defender that can't defend the pick and roll. He's not a good perimeter defender. He can't defend the pick and roll. So having Jae'sean Holmes there is going to basically make up for Christian Wood's liability on defense. So Jae'sean Holmes, he just fills in a lot of spots for us. I mean, obviously rim protection, but also just defense overall. And having an interior presence, because as good as Christian Wood is, he's not really an interior presence in the interior. Doesn't have really much of a, not necessarily like presence, but he just doesn't scare too much people driving to the rim, because his shot blocking ability, like, although like he can block shots at a pretty decent clip. I mean, over the season, I think he averaged only 1 block a game, which honestly like isn't too bad, but it's gonna be a little bit higher if you want to get some interior defense in the paint. Yeah, so over the season he did average a block a game. So we're gonna need more than 1 block a game for Christian Wood to at least have some sort of interior presence in the paint. But obviously having Jae'sean Holmes there is gonna make up for that. So but obviously, like, Jae'sean Holmes isn't the perfect piece per se for this roster. I mean, he's gonna be really good for this roster, but I don't think he'd be the perfect piece, because obviously his liability on stretching the floor is something that we could use. I mean, if he developed a 3-point shot, then honestly he'd be probably the perfect piece on this roster. But he didn't shoot any threes over the regular season. Actually, he did, but I mean, it's 18%, so obviously not really too good. He's a career 25% 3-point shooter as a big, so absolutely horrendous. He is just the 79% free throw shooter, which isn't that bad. I mean, if you get it up to 85%, then he'd be really good. But overall, I mean, he's not really there for shooting. He's really there for just keeping it down in defensive end, keeping it down in the interior, and just locking up the rim protection. Obviously, just locking up overall, guarding the pick and roll, obviously protecting the rim. So he's just there for interior purposes, kind of like a Hassan Whiteside type of player, where he just provides a lot of things on the defensive end and a little bit on offense. I mean, obviously, like Jae'sean Holmes, I think he could be a really good pick and roll partner beside Kevin Porter Jr. and Jalen Green. So for the most part, I think Jae'sean Holmes and Christian Wood, like, it could work. I think it could work better than Evan Mobley and Christian Wood, because the Christian Wood and Evan Mobley, Wood's 6'10", Evan Mobley 7 foot, 215 pounds. I mean, they're both gonna get bullied in the paint. So having Jae'sean Holmes there, 6'10", 235 pounds, he's not gonna get bullied as much as Evan Mobley. But obviously, like, there's some draft prospects in this draft that could be like Rashawn Holmes. I mean, the name right there, I'm already thinking was Daron Sharp. I mean, Daron Sharp and Rashawn Holmes, they kind of remind me of each other. It's just that Daron Sharp does not have a shot at all. No offensive ability, not really too much. He can do the pick and roll pretty well, but that's pretty much it. No floater like Rashawn Holmes, no shot at all. So they're just really similar to me. It's just that obviously Daron Sharp does not have as much offensive ability as Rashawn Holmes. So for the most part, I think Rashawn Holmes would be really good. The most amount of money I'd give him was probably 20 million to 22 million. I mean, over the season, I want to say Rashawn Holmes, like, I think he is a restricted free agent, but over the season, his contract, let's see. Yeah, so his contract was 2 years, $9 million. Wow, okay. So, oh my God, okay. So I think he's expected to get a little bit higher than 5 million because that's what he's making this year. So his contract, 4 years, $5 million. Wow, okay. So Rashawn Holmes, you could probably get him on a cheap deal, probably like 10 to 15 million. If you get Rashawn Holmes on that deal, then there's no reason to bring back Kelly Olynyk. I mean, obviously, Olynyk was probably really good for us because his floor stretching ability and his ability to play the point forward, but Rashawn Holmes obviously providing that interior defense that we need and that rim protection, obviously, if you don't get Evan Mobley. So we can really get Rashawn Holmes around 15 million, I want to say. Not really to overpay for him, but if we decide to give him 15 to 20 million, then I feel like the Kings might match that, to be honest, because that's not really too much for the type of player Rashawn Holmes is. So I don't know, man. I mean, Rashawn Holmes, I think the most I'd give him was probably 18 to 20 million at best, and then just hope that the Kings do not match it. So I think Rashawn Holmes is probably one of the most important free agency signings that we should be doing in the offseason, just to get that big in. If we don't get Jalen Green, or if we don't get if we do get Evan Mobley and we don't get Jalen Green, then honestly, like, this signing wouldn't really matter. But if we get Jalen Green and Evan Mobley and we don't get Evan Mobley, then obviously Rashawn Holmes would be the perfect piece on this roster. So that's my take on Rashawn Holmes to Houston, and hopefully Raphael Stone does the right move. So that's in the video. Take the video, drop it below, press subscribe button, and I'm out. Peace.